I believe now we're asking the wrong questions
Mhm.
about homelessness. And by asking the wrong questions, you get the wrong answers.
The greatest knowledge about the homeless comes from the homeless. To try to solve a problem without involving those who have lived it is totally irrational.
I mean, there's just so many stories out there. If you get to know the person before.
What would you like to share about the reasons that people fall into homelessness here?
What happens, in my opinion, life.
It seems like there's just some really basic reasons, and it begins to snowball. And that cliff between stability and homelessness is not as far as anyone thinks. And then once it happens, it's so traumatic.
First of all, being homeless is not a career choice. Nobody plans on becoming homeless. You don't go to school and get a degree on how to live on the street.
Honestly, the causes of being homelessness is just average job loss, apartment loss. I've seen people who rent housing that the landlord sell the house, medical emergencies, parents passing away, just real normal life experiences that there's not a big safety net for.
Whatever the causes, and there's so many, because we're all individuals, there's so many different reasons that we fall off and we can't get back. So we wind up living on the street.
What it's like to be alone with nowhere to go is its own traumatic experience that ends into mental health and probably drugs or alcohol, because those are coping mechanisms. But if you look at the cause and how people get there, it's, if you lost your house or your job.
What was it like trying to navigate the systems that are in place?
It is a scary, long, uninformed process that no one does really have an exact answer to, dates and times and how long it takes and which agency is the best or who will help, and just that it does happen.
They sign you up and they tell you, okay, if you fit the qualifications, we'll refer you to a shelter. Key word here, refer. And refer means, to me or anyone on the street, is I have no control on whether they accept you or not.
So it's daunting when you're looking at a problem that is such a mountain and you don't know how to chip away at it. And it really is difficult when you don't have access to a computer for email or a phone for a phone call or an address for mail. And you're looking at starting a process, and in most places aren't walk-up. So you're like, how can I facilitate getting help for myself?
I prefer housing, to try to navigate somebody into housing, as opposed to shelter is just a stopgap measure to keep people alive until you can get them housed.
Homeless people are not dumb. They're not stupid. They're not even under the influence. They can understand rejection when they see it or hear it.
The opinion, I'd never really felt prejudice until I was in that position, when people look at you and it was the first time, we don't let people like you use the bathroom. We don't let people like you come in here and get food or eat. And it was just a changing feeling when you're like, well, why? Oh, I'm homeless. We don't like those kind of people.
And when we go out and say that they're service resistant, what they're resistant is being enclosed and controlled. Not so much locked door, but being told when you can eat, what you can eat, when you can shower, when you can go wherever you need to go. You have to go on someone else's schedule, not your own.
I would definitely say that there's more barriers than there is opportunity, and that it can be very disheartening to want to experience that and then have to get through so many obstacles and so many, difficulties in that process. And the process is a long process, and you have to be really willing to trust the system, trust the process, and see how it's going to work out without any huge promises and the hope of how it's going to work out.
Housing ends homelessness, but shelters, we're trying to move people along the path till we get enough permanent supportive housing.
So what is the issue?
We just don't have enough housing, especially here in Orange County, to get everybody who's willing to get off the streets housed.
What is it like when you are living outside, struggling to kind of, get through the day and having to navigate these systems?
But if you look at the causes and not the effects of what the street does, is I think a significant part of the stigmatization of what it looks like to be homeless.
What society has decided that once you fall off that path and you're on the street or you're headed toward the street, that you must fit a certain profile.
You don't feel a prejudice that you feel when you begin to get stigmatized as vagrant or homeless, unwilling, uncooperative.
Our self-preservation instincts keep us from believing everything everybody says.
The mechanisms that you have to do for your safety, for the weather, to not be taken advantage of is to kind of get that look, whether that's for women being dirty so that people don't take advantage of them. So I think there's definite coping mechanisms to the look we see when we see homeless people that goes away when you see people in recovery that are housed, that are safe, that are fed and able to start, getting out of that fight or flight mechanism. So I definitely think that there's a look that is stigmatized more than, and we forget that they're people.
The only solution to ending homelessness is housing, period.